Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why.
My name is Matt Pickett. I'm a huge Packers fan, and I'm living my best life in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati? Why did I think you were living in Pennsylvania?
I don't know. That's a good question.
And I'm Dawn, and you know who I am. Hopefully, if you don't, I hope we get to know each other better. And tonight, Matt and I are going to give you a little sneak peek glimpse into the background work that some of the little background work and play that we're doing to get our podcast ready. And as I've been chatting about during the week, tonight is the big reveal. I have not heard this music yet. And this music was written by Matt as our theme song for our podcast. So I'm super glad you're joining us, and I can't wait to hear it. I'm going to be hearing it with all of you for the first time. So excuse me if I faint or gush or do anything crazy, but here we go. Are we ready, Matt? Can I do it?
Let's do it.
Okay, and then we're going to talk about everything that Matt did to make this happen. But let's play the music because I am just dying here. Okay, how do I do? Oh, whoopsie. All right, here we go. I forgot what I was doing. And a 1 and a 2 and a 3. Ooh.
There you go.
That was fantastic.
I'm glad you liked it.
Oh my gosh. So you wrote that music, you played the trombone. Wow. I am so impressed, and I love that vibe. I love that vibe for our podcast, and I just love that vibe in general. That's beautiful. So
Glad you like it.
How did you do all that? Tell us.
Well, I guess the first step was knowing how much time I had to fill, and to think about like what the kind of mood of it should be, what sort of a vibe we're trying to establish. After you had made the sort of like graphics and stuff for the video intro and an outro, I was like, okay, I kind of see like what we're going for here. Started thinking about like different musical ideas to kind of put with it. Was thinking something sort of like with some like a blues feeling to it, but still with something different happening in the middle. So like that B section that happens is like a famous jazz thing known as rhythm changes from I Got Rhythm by the Gershwins. And so kind of put that all together. I was mulling it over my head for a couple of weeks, started to like think of ideas, pluck some stuff on the piano and stuff like that. And then laid down all the backing track stuff on GarageBand over the course of the last week, finally putting it like into, into reality. And then last night, for the first time in literally years, I busted up my trombone and did a few different takes and kind of figured out the best parts and sewed it together. And there we have it.
It is really gorgeous. I love it so much. And I love that you got that vibe from the graphics and the video that I did. Because I played it for my sister without the music, and she said she kind of got I forgot what word she used, kind of a vintage vibe.
Yeah.
Graphics. And I mean, I don't know what inspired, but I love that it works together so well. And so the graphics for our podcast are going to be a la Dawn, and the musical background will be a la Matt, and that really has nothing to do with our podcast.
Behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, behind the scenes and kind of the process. And I know a lot of people are thinking about doing podcasts or wondering what's involved. And you don't have to write your own music. You don't have to do your own graphics. But we just happen to do that. It just happened, right, Matt? We just sort of made it happen. So that's,
well, I should say, it didn't just happen. Like, you put a lot of work into this, and so that's why it's happening. Really.
Thank you. Yeah, and I've been thinking about doing a podcast for a long time, and I could do many different podcasts. There's a lot of things we like to talk about as humans, and that's what we do as humans. We communicate, and I thought doing a podcast with you would be just fantastic because we can talk about one of the things we're both so obsessed with, which is Green Bay Packers football. But we're also, as you can see, yes, go Pack, go, GPG. So, okay, so here's the thing. So as part of your writing this what I call the ditty, a theme song, it doesn't have any lyrics, but you mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you mentioned that you were sort of thinking, you were kind of singing a lyrical song in order to sort of put the thing together, right? Is that
there are words? Yeah, there's words to the song, and the notes came out of the words initially. I had the words first, and then the notes came from that. So yeah.
Okay. So it was like graphics, words, and then the notes.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, I like that even better. So as you all are listening to this beautiful music for the first time, I super love our theme song. I don't know the lyrics. I think you might have sort of said something about them maybe, several weeks ago, but some of you know that I had a major surgery last week. So anything that happened in the previous 60 years of my life is gone.
Various facts were spilling out as they were.
Yeah, no, actually that's not true. I've had the weirdest dreams. And good ones too. I was having really vivid, bizarre nightmares for several nights, and now they're turning into really fun dreams. But anyway, that I digress. But anyway, the point is, I don't know the lyrics. Only Matt knows the lyrics. And the lyrics can be anything we want them to be. So we're going to offer our first podcast contest. And that is for you all to write the lyrics, what you hear. And there's no right or wrong answer. And Matt, I want you to, I'm going to have to listen after we log off. I'm going to ask Matt to actually tell me what the lyrics are, because I want to listen for one particular thing. And like I said, you can write your own lyrics if you want to contribute in the comments or message them to either of us through Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you're seeing this. But you can write your own lyrics, but I want to know what Matt's lyrics are. And I'm looking for, and this is one little hint, and like I said, it doesn't have to be in your lyrics, but one little hint is we're looking for a chant that Packer fans know very well. And the chant goes how? How does the chant go?
Should I sing it or?
Oh yeah, you could sing it or chant it.
Yeah, no. There's the whenever you hear it, there's like a little musical thing, and then the people respond. It's kind of a call and response situation. So you hear this bump, ba-da-da-da. People go, Pack, go, and they play it like 5 times or 6 or 7 times.
That's right. Go, Pack, go, and that's what we know. That's what we know. Well, that's the only part I know, but I can't wait to know.
Oh, that's all there is. It's super short.
But there are other lyrics too.
Yes.
In your song, yeah. But the Packer chant, yes. The Packer chant is very basic. It has to be basic because people who are Packer fans tend to drink a lot.
There's a reputation, yeah.
And I was just reading about that. It's like, in fact, I think before we log off, and we're ready to log off real quick here, because Matt has little kids to take care of in a life, and I do too. So, but one thing I'm interested in hearing, and maybe we can talk about it on our first podcast, is this controversy. It shouldn't be a controversy about what the fans at the stadium should or should not be doing during the offensive plays.
They should be completely silent is what they should be, so the offense can communicate.
So that they can, yes. And then when the opposing team is playing, they want to be shouting, "Go Pack, go!"
That's right. Be loud. Do the wave then. That's
do
the
the
time.
wave, and then they can't. Then you're confused. That's the whole point of having a home game, is to have that advantage of the sound, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's where I was picking up on a lot of different tweets and comments last week about, but they're just too drunk. They don't know.
You had people like Matt LaFleur, David Bakhtiari, are trying to tell people how this works.
Yeah.
Some people, like my man Neebles, was like, "Hey, if I'm going to pay to go to a game, then like let me do what I'm going to do." But I don't know. I had a lot of people kind of pushing back on that. I think Matt Schneidman got involved in it too, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, got pretty lively.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to have to catch up on all that. All right, just because I want to play our theme music one more time before we log off, because I want to hear it one more time.
Should we mention, Don, what we're like trying to accomplish with this podcast? What we're going to be talking about and stuff like that? Should we just quick overview?
Sure, go for it while I try to figure out what I'm doing.
There you go. Good idea. It's going to stall for time. So just basically us talking about stuff that we heard that we liked from that week. It could be stuff from podcasts. I'll probably mostly be talking about Packers podcast stuff because I'm an avid consumer of that. But it's not going to be limited just to Packers stuff. So anything else that we've like seen or heard or whatever from that week, just going to talk about it. We'll probably talk a little bit about like, what we're excited about for the coming Packers game as well. That'll probably be in the mix there with the discussions, but going to keep it a reasonable length every week because, no shade against people who do like, hour-long episodes of podcasts, but sometimes you just want like a 30-minute, even shorter perhaps kind of thing. And I think it's gonna be our goal.
Yeah. Keep it short and sweet. And so here's the thing that I was thinking. I consume really just massive amounts of podcasts, have for years, YouTube channels that I, that come and go in terms of what I'm watching. I read a lot of books and take in a lot of media. The only television that I actually watch for the most part is Green Bay Packer games. So I feel like, and a lot of people over the years have asked me, what are you listening to? What are you reading? That kind of thing. So if you're interested in what's going on in a certain genre of media, come to us because chances are we've reviewed it. Not that we're reviewing or critiquing anyone, but we're going to just share the best of, the funniest, the most interesting, maybe the dumbest, maybe the weirdest. There's a lot of weird news. In fact, I listen to a podcast that's all about weird news every week. So, so you can get kind of a summary of multiple podcasts and other media on our podcast. And don't you think that's a good way of saying it, maybe?
Yeah. Not as much, like you said, not as much reviewing and critiquing, more like discussing and appreciating is kind of my, what I'm thinking.
Exactly. And we're so, as Packer fans, and you might not be a Packer fan, but that doesn't mean you're not going to love our kind. You might be a 49er fan or a Rams or Chargers or whomever, but as long as you're not a Cowboys fan.
I was thinking a Vikings fan, but
no, I'm joking. That's a joke. But anyway, you may not know this, and you may not have this if you're a fan of another team, but the Packers community, especially on Twitter and in the podcast world, is very, very rich. It is like no other team, and there's just and it's kind of like a family in a way. And so that's another thing that there's so much material just to take in just on Packers media that it can be overwhelming. And I know when I first got into it, I was like, well, what should I listen to? And then I was listening to Packers coverage like 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, because I always have things going, even if I'm not sitting and listening, carefully. So there's a lot. And so so we're definitely going to be covering all of that to try and help you so that you don't have to listen to 50 hours of media to us, and we'll help you out. And we're definitely going to be giving credits to everybody that we're sharing with. And we do very much support the ones that are giving us such great material. So it's going to be fun. So with that, let's have one more listen, and then we're going to say goodnight for now. Here we go. I just have to hear this one more time. I love it. And we'll see you all next week.
Yay.